Hey traders, welcome to Charts and Coffee. All right, full disclosure, I've already drank 2 massive mugs of coffee. I've been up early working on the slides for tomorrow's show. So now I've moved on to Root. It's actually a fairly healthy little energy drink. So, Roots and coffee this morning. Great to see everybody. Happy Friday, everyone. I wanted to mention, and I'll mention again before we close out the show, right? And we've got our class tomorrow. Today, though, I wanted to give you a little sneak peek at what I do in the morning and what you're going to learn in the class. So right after Charts and Coffee, we've been doing little bonus sessions now and again here at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel. Earlier this month, I live day traded the non-farm payroll and the CPI release. And then today I'm going to do something called opening range. And we're going to hang out from about 9:20 to 10:30 this morning. And I'm just going to walk you through what I do in the morning, focusing on mostly intraday, mostly day trading, but also the importance of understanding where weekly and daily time frames are. Yes, even if you are a day trader. So we've got that going on as well. All right. So as always, gang, let's take a look at what we have coming up today. And that means a look at the economic calendar. And I'm at Forex Factory here. Use whatever you'd like. I usually use a combination of 3 calendars. Forex Factory, Trading Economics, and then as we go into earnings season, I'll start using Estimize. So 3 calendars. Why 3? The only reason I use Trading Economics in addition to Forex Factory is there are FOMC speaking events that are not necessarily listed on both those calendars for whatever reason. So this morning, 7:30, already had Bullard. We'll see what the markets did at 7:30 this morning. Last time I checked, there was a quick little move lower when Bullard was speaking this morning. And then we've got the revised University of Michigan sentiment report. Not usually a big impact number, but when we are lacking for any other high impact hot zones, minor ones like the University of Michigan, minor ones like new home sales, not as major as say non-farm payroll or GDP or CPI or PCE, slightly lesser heat hot zones can move the market because there's just nothing else the market's going to be responding to. So new home sales, keep an eye on that. We'll be together during that live stream again, right at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel. As soon as we wrap up here, head on back and you'll see opening range with moi as another link you can hop into 9:20 to 10:30 today. All right, so that's what we've got going on today. That's what's already happened today. So let's jump into some of our charts, see what kind of market mood we are inheriting. And I'm just going to move these charts out of the way so we jump into our questions. We're good to go. All right, so starting off with where we are with the NAS. Gang, those of you that are already familiar with the most basic of my calculations off a daily, which is that line in the sand, you'll see we are north of it. One of the things we have talked about now for a couple of weeks as we go into the end of June, quarter end, month end rebalancing, and the potential for a retracement. Whether you like retracement, rally, reversion, rip, whatever that R word is that you like, we are looking to move higher, correcting, retracing the downtrend on the daily time frame. That's going to be a longer term time horizon, daily time interval setup. But in the meanwhile, we are inheriting, for the morning anyway, a bullish directional bias. So that's going to be pretty cool. And by the way, for those of you that have been asking, hey Rog, do we also have the tools that you are going to be teaching tomorrow during the class for TradingView? And the answer is we do. Yeah. So even though I'm on TOS a lot, we do have these tools for TradingView as well. And those are the 2 platforms that I support mainly, Toss and TradingView. TradingView is broker agnostic. So you can chart on TradingView, and then you can execute your trade idea, whichever broker that you prefer. So I love the idea that we don't have to be attached to a certain broker for all the members who might not have access to, say, Toss, or might be trading with another company but want the tools that I use. So love that for a group, having Toss and TradingView with the tools that I have. All right, so then we have, let's take a quick look at the bond market, which also corrected into, you can see here, the wave long bond and 10-year. I like the long bond just a little bit better than the 10-year in terms of the May rally being contained when we reverted to the mean that I focus on, which is the 34 EMA wave. That's my mean reversion. That's the correction, the retracement that I like to take advantage of, in this case, within the context of a downtrend. We're doing it again at the aggro level. Sure, we can day trade this thing, and I will look, if we get an opportunity on the 5-minute to trade up into about 137 and change, that will be a great opportunity to sync up, possibly a short intraday, maybe using puts and TLT, maybe actually shorting the ZB futures and taking advantage of some exhaustion. So we'll talk more about that once we segue into the opening range show right after Charts and Coffee. All right, so gang, as always, this show is, of course, about your questions. So let's go ahead and dive into them. All right, good morning. I have your propulsion indicator. Cool. We've been giving that thing away since 2016, and I'm so glad so many of you benefited from those free tools. I wasn't able to understand its value. Could I share the settings of my chart? Because I only see the dotted line at most times when it appears on my chart. I don't have time to, and I appreciate the question. I don't have time to dive into a long discussion on propulsion in Charts and Coffee. But what I can tell you is check out countdowntrader.com. You have content there on a lot of my indicators. But let me give you at least a Cliff Notes version of what propulsion does. Propulsion replaces, so take a look at the ZB chart here, right? Let's take a look at the ZB. Maybe this will help. The dots here, the dots here, the dots here. Every one of these dots are set colors. This is the 55 exponential, 21, and 13. What each one of these dots represents is two moving averages crossing, which is a very classic way of using moving average, the moving average cross. In this case, exponential moving averages. And once that cross happens and price interacts in a particular way, that's the way that the indicator turns on. It basically validates that the 13 or the 21 or the 55 or the 8, those are the 4 settings that I use, are now viable levels for a potential resistance level. In the case of parabolic markets, I'll often use 8 and 13, which are the red and yellow dots. Mostly, though, I'll use the green dots, which is the 21. And you can see we're right at the green dot in the wave right now. That's my preference. So if you're going to focus on any of the dots, I would say turn the 8 on, which are the red dots, and turn the 21 on, which are the green dots. My members who are in the Simpler Futures rooms and in AA, head on over if you're in. Now, again, I don't know by nicknames who's in the room and who's not. But if you are a member of the day trading room, futures, my master, any of the main rooms, I have a layout that I share in the room drive with everyone, and the full complement with my settings for all my free tools is there for members. So again, and members out there saying, Rog, yeah, how can I get the settings that you use on propulsion or the slow stow or the wave grab, whatever, the Darvis 2.0, it's in the room drive of the main rooms. Okay, so you can grab those there. All right, Scott asks, has the line in the sand taken place of the anchored VWAP? No way, Scott. So thank you for the question. So VWAP measures volume, and I absolutely have that running on my screen. And this is what I like to remind everybody. Gang, if you see something no longer on my charts when you're in Charts and Coffee or you're in the room with me, and I'm just logging in right now because what I like to remind everybody is, here in my office, I've got a lot of monitors. I've got a ton of them. And I say that only because on the other 8 monitors that you all do not see, what I have running are the tools that many of you are already familiar with. Meaning, and I'm just I can't find it right now and I won't fumble through Instagram, but if you follow me on Insta, you'll see there's a layout of my desk, which is actually a giant dining room table with 9 monitors. It is running on others and it hasn't taken the place. I still use all those volume tools. I've just right now in the chop that we're dealing with, Scott, volatility and time, when I look back on the way that, for example, my options trading or my futures trading is going, when I look back on the HPMR settings, that approach right now has a far better win rate, a far better and a far more discerning entry. There are not lots of entries. It's just a more discerning setup that's working in this environment where we're dealing with this back and forth chop. So that being said, my friend, I still use it, but I use them both. I still use them both. So on the daily, yes, I still use year and month, and intraday. We have a number of intraday settings. So absolutely, Scott, I still use it. If there's ever a tool that I introduce, rest assured, it's on one of my screens here in the office. Thank you for the question. And yes, you've got the anchors correct on the daily. I absolutely do. First of the month, first of the year. You bet. All right, next up is what's going on with Naty Gas. So gang, remember, we're still dealing with all the uncertainty around the Freeport export terminal closure. First it was 21 days, now it's 90. There's a lot of mistrust because traders, including myself, are wondering, all right, when are you going to make 90, 120? When is it going to be less than a partial opening? And what does a partial opening mean anyway? 10%, 20%, 90%? It's certainly not going to be a full opening. So much uncertainty and so much supply just sitting at that port, which then weakens Naty. That's the dominant narrative. Not to mention we're outside the seasonal bullish narrative of the year. Consequently, we have a broken trend and we have a choppy market. Broken, choppy market, preceding trend was up. That means that we're going to focus on oversold buys. Next question comes up is, where are we oversold? We have some Darvis here. We have a 200 propulsion, talking about propulsion again here. There's a nice zone that we could start to look at. And then what I would like to do, and where's my drawing tool? Here we go. What I would like to do then is ask myself, at what point do one of these levels, whether it's the support of the 200, the support of the Darvis, jive with the oversold slow stochastic? Gang, there's just nothing better at understanding chop and where chop could be quote unquote oversold or overbought than a slowed down 21.3 slow stochastic. It just works great. And the wonderful thing is it's built into most of your trading platforms. I just have specific settings that I prefer, right? That's what I would recommend. And I'm looking for that cross to happen down in here. If that cross coincides with the 200, great. If that cross coincides with this section of the chart between basically 6.3 and 6.0, awesome. But that's what we're looking for. We'd like to see that cross. Now on my slow stochastic, which I've coded just to be color coded, I know, Raghee, you like color coded indicators? You don't say. I do. When that red goes green, I'm not waiting for an arrow. When that red goes green, then I know, start looking for oversold confirmation and where am I on the chart? And we got to make sure we're still neutral. So that's the way I am looking at Naty Gas. And that would then also translate to UNG and FCG. Now, if you're a member of the Futures or Sector Secrets Mastery, I sent out a video update yesterday that walked through specifically what I'm looking at on Naty and FCG and why. So you can definitely check that out. All right. Am I seriously caffeinated? Heck yeah. Got a class tomorrow. You got a new show, Opening Range, coming up in about 5 minutes. So be sure that you jump on back to the main page at Simpler Trading YouTube, at the Simpler Trading YouTube, and you'll see opening range with Raghee, 9:20 to 10:30. We're going to hang out for about an hour, take a look at the opening range together. And that's going to be excellent preparation for tomorrow's class, which starts at, what time does that class start at? 1 o'clock? That class starts at 1 o'clock. So if you haven't yet checked out the Q&A session that we did Wednesday evening, simplertrading.com, answer-replay at some point today, do that. And if you're ready to join me tomorrow, head on over to simplertrading.com/guide. All right, next up is XLRE. Do I like XLRE? So there's two ways we'll look at this, and it's a downtrend. So I like the idea of a short the rip. The other thing we can do, MB, is pull up XLRE on the multi-chart. I'd have to make sure that the weighting is still the proper order, which is easy enough to do. And I might end up not only looking at XLRE, but sometimes what we find when we look at the ETFs and then we go look at the option chain. Now, some of you play the underlying stock, and that's perfectly fine. The way that I analyze and trade ETFs and stocks, we have a number of traders in the Sector Secrets Mastery Room that play the underlying stock and ETF, but a majority, we look at the options for the leverage. Clearly, long calls, long puts. Now, sometimes there's not enough liquidity to be able to play the options. And that's where we might have to look at some of the boats within the tide to do that. Meaning, we'll look at some of the individual stocks that share similar structure, sometimes better structure. But overall, yes, I like the overall short the rip opportunity there. All right. So that is next. All right, so next up, and I'm making sure I've got my next show queued up and ready to go, which we do. Looking forward to that. We've never done that one before. So some of you might have joined me for our Hot Zone sessions. What's Hot Zone? It's a Ragheeism for the high impact, high volatility scheduled events that oftentimes can give us interesting opportunity. We're going to do an opening range show here in about 2 minutes. So I'll see you back there. It's a separate stream, by the way, gang. All right. Is there an easy way to find your live trade of the NFP? Greg, I don't know if there's an easy way. If you look at the videos listed at the Simpler Trading YouTube, you got to scroll all the way back to the beginning of the month, but it will be there. I just saw it this morning. Can we get the link? Yeah, I can't go run and get that right now, Sam and or Greg, but maybe a little bit later on, or I'll try in the next session. I got to go dig it up. I don't have it handy. XLE, but it is at, so if you go to the channel, click on videos and you'll see all the different videos and you'll definitely see my videos there. All right. XLE. You know, I really am somewhat heartbroken about the way in which crude oil and Naty Gas just unceremoniously rolled over on a lot of ridiculous political news. And then this temporary export terminal shut down. Frustrating, but we keep bullish directional bias. We are oversold. We are sitting at the 200. So this might harken back to that setup I talked about earlier where we get down to the 200, waiting for that slow stochastic to give us confirmation that, yes, this could be around 70 where XLE finds support. And it is actually something I am looking at very much. Oversold at the Darbas, at the 200 as well, Josh. I do like this one quite a bit. And then your follow-up question of IEF for short. IEF and TLT are on the radar for shorts. Absolutely. These are plays on the downtrend in the 10-year note and in the 30-year bond. And I'm definitely looking at follow through there. By the way, gang, I'm going to end the Charts and Coffee show now, but head on back over to the Simpler Trading YouTube channel. And you should see momentarily the opening range link as soon as I end this. And you can join me for our next live stream here in just a moment. All right, gang. Be good to each other. I'll see you in the next live stream. And I'll see many of you in the class. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow, 1 o'clock, for our Dominate 2022 day trading class. All right. See you in just a bit. Be good to each other.